Well, it's that time of the season again. Derby Day is approaching, which means preview predictions is here. I'm looking forward to seeing this one being used for clips afterwards. Let's just get in here. Now, before we jump into the video, I would just very quickly like to say, because this is the first time I've made a video since the incident happened, that there's no place for racism in football. What happened the other night was abhorrent to Glenn Kamara. The language used, the actions of the Slavia Prague player were absolutely disgusting, and I hope that UEFA condemn. I hope that there is serious repercussions. And I hope there's repercussions against the fans for the banners and such that have came out afterwards, and the racial abuse that came out on social media. You know, this is a sport and a world that should be, sadly it looks never will be, a racism-free world. It should be, and we need to strive to get towards that. We need to speak out against it, and we need to condemn at any opportunity. Shocking scenes, and respect to Glenn Kamara for the way he's handled it. And I just quickly thought I should say something. I feel like it's something you can't just ignore. You have to speak about it. And it's a shame that we do have to speak about these things, but it just had to be done. So thoughts with him at this kind of moment in time, with the abuse that he's coming under. But it's something that we need to somehow stomp out of football. Right, so the derby is tomorrow, an early kick-off for us all as we get ready for the third derby of the season. Celtic against Rangers once more at Parkhead. Interesting statistic for you. Celtic haven't scored a goal into Rangers in over 1 year. The last time we scored against them was a long time ago. It seems now we have been rotten in the last couple of derby matches. It's been embarrassing to watch, and we need to change that. We have now got nothing really to play for. The game feels sort of meaningless in a sense. The fact that Rangers are already champions, we've kind of rubbished off, and we've heard that the Guard of Honour won't be happening, and that's a conversation and a video in itself, I suppose. But I'm glad to hear that. I don't think any of us as Celtic or Rangers fans should give less of a shit about it. It just seems like, pardon my French, but it just seems something that is a pointless conversation to have. It's just something that we should not give a toss about. Let's care about the 90 minutes of the park. But look, it seems sort of meaningless in a sense, going into this game. Rangers are the champions, we're now kind of playing for pride, and really all Celtic play for this. Of course we want to win, we've got a win to play for, but in terms of the bigger picture, all Celtic are really playing for in this game now is to kind of stop Rangers' invincible league season. So in that terms of things, it's a kind of must win for Celtic. Something 4 years ago we done and we said would never be done again. You'll never see that happen again. And then only a matter of 4 years later, it actually might happen again. So if the players who were there then understand the importance of keeping that their own exclusive achievement, then we need to fight hard tomorrow. We need to play our best. We should be playing our best anyway. It's a derby, for God's sake, and the last two performances have been spineless. They've been embarrassing, and they need to right those wrongs. And we'll come on to talk about that from a tactical point of view in a moment. But you only have to look as far as the last one, when we played well enough to know that the signs are there that we can beat them. But we need to push that a little bit harder. We need that motivation on our side. We have to understand that we've got to give the fans, and the players have got to give the fans something to smile about to some extent. For as poor a season as it's been, the fans have went through a nightmare of a campaign, and by winning a derby game, it doesn't exactly make up for what we've seen, but it certainly gives you kind of hope, and it'll put a smile on their face for a while, and it points towards the right directions as to where we go next season. So we've got to start as a team giving the fans something to smile about, and giving them something to hold on to heading into next season, and that win tomorrow would start that. So let's talk about the game and how it plays out, and what should we expect. Look, Rangers off the back, of course, of one of their rare losses this season, losing to Prague midweek in the Europa League. It can obviously go one of two ways for them. It can either kick them on to go and play much better than they usually would, try and get a win, get back to winning ways, of course. That's one way it can go, or it can go the way of simply a little bit of bad form for them. Celtic could find them on the kind of back foot. We might be the better team. We might catch them at a bad time, but I would suggest the earlier will probably happen. I think Rangers will be ready to go out and play some good stuff to try and get back to winning ways and make up for a disappointing European exit. We have to be ready for that. Now, we've got the tools to be ready for that. It's just how we use them. It's just how we set up and how we prepare, because we know we're good enough. we've been good enough all season. We should have really challenged them, but we've not turned up too many times this season, and that's simply what we need to avoid, and that's what we've done in the previous 2 occasions. So I think Rangers will be ready to come out and play some nice football. I think this season they've shown that right now tactically they are miles ahead of us, and I say miles ahead of us, years ahead of us, you could say, and we just need to come into the game and you know, bring a sort of similar ferocity than what we brought to Ibrox in the last occasion. How will we set up? That's the question. Will we go with that system which looked to work until Near Beaton was sent off? Will we continue to play narrow? Will we bring wide men back into it? It's a kind of, I feel bad for Kennedy because it's a sort of lose-lose situation for him if things don't go right. Because I feel like if he does start the narrow formation, you know, if we don't win the game, we'll come to the end. Why did he not start Forrest and Elyounoussi? But then if he does start Forrest and Elyounoussi and we lose the game, why did we not start with the narrow? Like, why did we not do the diamond? That's where it'll go like. I can already see it. So it is a hard one for Kennedy. It's a bit of a headache in that sense, and what he goes with and how he picks this team. He's got to try and use what he's seen in the training ground over the past couple of weeks to make an informed decision. Ultimately, he knows better than the rest of us. He's the one that's seen the team in the training ground for the last 2 weeks. I personally would like to see us go with wide players. I know that it's not proved successful against Rangers in the past kind of couple of derby games, the last 2 or 3 derby games. It's not been, well, we didn't play in the last one, so the 2 prior to that. I know it's not proved successful, but I feel like we've got to get Forrest back into the team. I feel like he's got to be kind of a driving energy in the game, and plus he'll be hungry to get back in. So for me, I would personally go with wingers, but I'm not adverse to the idea of going narrow once more if tactically Kennedy thinks that's the best route to go down. So it's a bit of a headache in that sense. Of what we go with, but I think Kennedy will pick a team that he's confident will do the best in regards to what he's seen the last couple of weeks. As for Rangers, they'll do what they normally do. They'll play that system which has been so good all season. The kind of rotation in the midfield with good players in there, you know, Kamara, Arfield, you know, all these players, they can do a real good job at kind of filtering in and out of different areas, and then moving forward in the wings. Kent is so dangerous, and you know, they'll look to use those situations that have ruffled up the Celtic defence one too many times this season. And Morelos will be looking hungry to get a goal as it perhaps comes to the end of his derby career. That he might have 1 or 2 left, so he'll want a goal. Going forward, he was strong, but look, Prague showed midweek there is a way to beat Rangers, and that was by roughing up a bit. And I'm not saying go out and kick umps out of them and all the rest of it, but they stood up to Rangers a bit. They were a bit fiercer than what teams have been this season, and a bit fiercer than what Celtic have shown against Rangers in the last 2 or 3 derby games. That's, I think, the difference. They kind of frightened Rangers in a sense. They were a better team and they won. And that was through playing, yes, good football, which Celtic don't have, but by standing up a little bit and being a bit rough around the edges. Celtic just need to do that, be a bit more aggressive, and I think that'll send Rangers a little bit on the back foot. But look, they're a good team, and we've got to be willing to accept that this is not going to be easy. The days of derby games being easy are long gone. So that pretty much does my preview and predictions. As for the score prediction, look, I'm going to be an optimist. What sort of Celtic fan would I be to come on YouTube and not predict a Celtic win? For as much as the signs suggest that Rangers will maybe romp us tomorrow, I'm still going to be an optimist in some sense. I'll say 1-0 Celtic. I know Celtic keeping a clean sheet and beating Rangers. What the fuck am I talking about? I feel like we need to understand that we've got to win one of these games. We've got to try and end that invincible campaign. We're the only team who can do it. That's a sad state of affairs because we've been really bad this season, but we're the only team who can do it. And we need to stand up to them tomorrow and do that. But look, I'm fully accepting that I'll probably be making a review video where Rangers have won the game. That is probably the reality, sadly. But as for my team prediction, I feel like I'm not going to give a team prediction. It's kind of hard to predict what Kennedy will go for. I think he will stay narrow. If I was to give a prediction, I think he will. I think he'll go for the 4-1-2-1-2. I think we'll see Scott Brown start the game. I don't think we'll see Soros start the game, which I think is a poor decision, but I think it's going to happen anyway. And I think he'll put Edouard up front with maybe Kalamara. He's got to start somebody up with him anyway if he goes narrow, so we'll see. But I think he will go narrow tomorrow. I think we'll see that 4-1-2-1-2. So my team prediction revolves heavily around what we've already seen from Kennedy's start as Celtic manager. I know he changed it up in the last game and went for wide players, had Christie at the right, Elyounoussi on the left, but I think he'll look to that last derby game and try and clinch on to that little bit of hope that was there before Beaton was sent off. So that's my predictions and such. Let me know what you think. Yes, I'm hungover, that's why I've sounded depressed the whole video, but it's also because I'm talking about a derby game, which is really just, you know, we should be really talking about a title challenge, man. We should be talking about this being an exciting derby, but it's really not. It's just a sad state of affairs, isn't it? Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.